How you doing? I haven't been posting a lot because I've been so busy with my year in rear view that I just haven't been able to get to it. And in the meantime, big historic event took place in Washington. Something very disgusting happened. And I think we all know what it is. And I was wondering, what would we call this? What would history call this? The Idiot Revolt? Or maybe the Boogan Revolt? And how would it be written in poetry? Like the remember the 5th of November. Remember the 6th of January, when a bunch of crybabies couldn't get their way. So they decided to hold a coup. I don't know. Maybe some people can come up with better things. Yeah. Well, I gotta go take a kid to the doctor for a checkup. So, woohoo! Weather is kind of typical for an in-between January day, probably 40s. And then putting together my rear view, year in rear view, I noticed I say I need coffee a lot. Coffee. All right, we're one. We are. How may I help you? Kansas City's own Gates Barbecue. We're stepping out for Gates. Gates. Barbecue is a Kansas City tradition, and Gates is one of the better places. Gates. I noticed when I put together my year in rear view, I said coffee an awful lot, but I don't apologize. I like my coffee. Thank you, Saya. Coffee. That's a steamer, Saya. And Saya's got her coloring book. And was even provided with crayons by the artist who's in here working to hang up new artwork. It's obviously later in the day, and the coffee habit of mine is not about coffee. It's about socialization. It's how I relieve or meet my need for human contact. And so I used to go to bars all the time, which is weird because I don't drink. And so yeah, about the time I got serious about this one girl, not really serious, but serious enough, I quit going to a bar that I used to hang out in, and started hanging out in coffee houses, and realized, bars I would go in and drink a Coke, and people look at me weird for not drinking, because when you go to a bar and everybody does it for the same reason, they go in to have human contact and socialization, things like that. And they go into a bar, they feel obligated to buy something, and when they feel obligated to buy something, they develop a really nasty habit. Spend all their money drinking in a bar. So coffee houses are like my bar for me, and I can only really drink 1 cup of coffee a day, really. Oftentimes I get something pretty strong, but I'm not that caffeinated, really. And when I go into these places, like Emily's Coffee House, we always have a nice conversation. or go to Jim's Coffee House. We like to talk politics. But anyway, so that's what that's about. So it's not necessarily about coffee, although sometimes it is. Sometimes I go in, I'm pretty tired and need to pick me up, but not usually.